So now we're going to do a continuation from the last function videos, this time speaking about Fe described by Carl Jung. First, these are Carl Jung's functions, so any deviation that goes completely against what the essence of Fe is from the dominant perspective will be carefully looked at utilizing constructive criticism by me. And I just think that that's important because a lot of these systems do go around changing up things to the degree to where people don't know what the original function is. Therefore, they have no foundation. So it's important to actually speak to the creator of these functions and then build your way from that. So first off, Carl Jung in Psychological Types explains extroverted feeling is a cognitive function that is concerned with external harmony and social dynamics. It focuses on how others are feeling, maintaining social bonds, and seeking approval through social interaction. Fe dominant individuals are often seen as charismatic, empathetic, and adept at navigating social situations. They prioritize harmony and often seek to understand and satisfy the emotional needs of others, often putting their own feelings secondary on the social environment. So the way that Carl Jung described it is very much self-explanatory. Not only is it going to be an easy function to digest and understand because it's extroverted in its elements, but you can clearly see from the dominant perspective that this type is thinking about their own feelings secondary. People don't really understand the dominance of Fe and how often they self-sacrifice according or for others. Or there are at times where people believe that Fe dominant are good people when that's not always the case. So something I'm going to be emphasizing more in this video, that when you're hyper-focused on feelings outside of yourself, then you tend to do self-reframing less, as described in IDT. But all in all, that's a good starting point or foundation given by Carl Jung. In Myers-Briggs or MBTI, extroverted feeling Fe is a cognitive function that uses external values and social norms to make decisions. Yes, they make decisions based off of those social norms or values externally, yes. Focusing on groups, emotional state, and social harmony, yes. It's the dominant function of ENFJ, ESFJ types, and the auxiliary function of INFJ and ISFJ types. Fe users prioritize social harmony and group cohesion, often considering the needs and emotions of others when making decisions, which is very true by MBTI. A part of them making decisions quickly and within the collective is by involving other people's feelings and decisions to help their own. They're almost influenced by the external protocols in relation to others. So that's something that's should be taken into consideration, which it is here in MBTI's Fe definition. Moving on. An objective personality system, or OPS, extroverted feeling Fe is defined as a function that prioritizes and judges based on collective, shared values and feelings within a group or tribe. It's a judging function that focuses on the harmony and well-being of the group, often at the expense of the individual preferences. Again, simple, straight to the point. They emphasize on the sacrifice of themselves from the dominant perspective, right? So one thing I want to actually bring up is when a person says Fe users, right? You have to be careful we say Fe users, right? Because in certain systems, we all have Fe. But in other systems, Fe users could just be speaking about what is valued. And then another system could say Fe users just speaking about from the dominant perspective. So Fe users, the way that I see it, is speaking about the dominant user, right? We call them attached protocol chiefs, and they're extroverted, However, if you use FE in other functions, if you use FE in other positions like auxiliaries or even as an anchor, then you still have FE, but it's used more specifically according to whatever position that it's located. But all in all, this is a good definition by OPS. Wikisocion, right, or Socionics, explains extroverted ethics is an extroverted, rational, and dynamic information element. It is also called FE, the ethics of emotions, or Black ethics. FE is generally associated with the ability to recognize and convey, make others experience passions, moods, and emotional states, generate excitement, liveliness, and feelings, get emotionally involved in activities, and emotionally involve others. Recognize and describe emotional interaction between people and groups, and build a sense of community and emotional utility. I do like how Socionics breaks it down a bit more with this FE definition and saying what they're focusing on or how they get others to do such things. The liveliness to it, there is a bit of coming out of themselves in order to touch or reach out to other people's emotions. Yes, that is true. There's an energetic element with it that I appreciate that Socionics actually brought to attention when they said things like liveliness and so on. Although liveliness is not always the case. Sometimes you can run into an FE-dom or even an extrovert that's not like that, depending on certain situations. But often when you talk to them, you can hear them kind of reach out for you or reach out to you in such ways. It's very interesting. So even when they have quiet or toned down moments, upon entry or upon engagement, you can hear them processing externally, reaching out to the feelings of others if you are that focus. It's quite interesting, actually, but I do think that this is a good definition by Socionics. In IDT, in attached protocol chiefs, FE serves as the dominant pillar function, actively allocating the emotions of others naturally. FE pillar types often try to regulate others by strategic influence, using a combination of control, self-sacrifice, and the intentional guidance and support of the collective overall. FE being continuously linked with an in-service function of NE or SE oscillates between guide and dreaming within the major arc. FE as an attached function, yet object in its orientation, meaning they will be most subject to the emotional environment outside of themselves. FE actively holds themselves accountable for the innate influences they create while involving others through engaged social order and coordinated relationships. These types not only strive in navigating emotional responses, but also in gaining insights and related experiences through their NI or SI fix assimilations. So just a quick breakdown, you can kind of see how we explain all of the functions that FE is connected to, because when you're describing FE, you're describing it being used with an auxiliary function. And because of that, it brings more clarity to the definition as it relates to IDT.